Hi everyone, happy Wednesday. Today we're going to talk about the credit card processing fees, and one of the questions that we get from our clients is, well, can I pass along those fees to my customers? And the average credit card processing fee varies from 1.5% to 3.5%, and that could be quite a lot for some of the processing. However, in the state of New York, it is considered illegal. So it's prohibited to pass along the surcharges and convenience fees, but they are tax deductible. So, for example, if we have bank service charges or any of that, we could take that as an expense. But I wanted to kind of go back to Irene to talk more about why and how to approach the situation because simply when people ask me, my answer is no, you're not allowed to take the surcharge. So I kind of want to learn more from your standpoint and how else we could kind of approach this.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jane. So definitely does come up quite often, especially as you have a cross between businesses that offer services, but also have certain labor costs associated with products as well. And so, for example, you and I basic for the majority of what our invoice would contain would be service-based expenses. We don't really have many products that we could ever sell. Potentially, if we give someone access to just thinking of practice management software, perhaps we can pass along the fee that their additional account may cost us. But other than that, it's basically service related. And so that's where you start first because the rules are going to be very, very different without getting into the too many specifics here, because then the next thing you would look at is the industry as well. So just to keep it general for the purposes of the broad conversation and trying to get to the bottom of what's allowed very clear cut and what is not versus where are those exceptions on service versus product or industry specific exceptions, which is always something that I invite every client to take a look into specifically with us because there's a rule and a lot of the times there's an exception, and it's worth that conversation to see, do you fall into the exception? But generally, as Jane had mentioned, the credit card surcharges and fees and passing those along to customers is not legal in New York. There are a few exceptions for debit cards versus credit cards, but that is so difficult, especially when this is an automated system that would be accepting those invoices. That's very difficult to monitor. And the exceptions that do exist are not universal. And so I do recommend steering clear of making that a policy unless it is really something that you can monitor throughout and make sure that before the charge goes in, that this is something that you could really govern, which again is not very easy to do. Also, a few other alternatives, especially with automated systems for invoicing, would be to automatically either include the cost of what you would anticipate a credit card would fee would be into the total purchase price or into the total service fee, and then give a cash discount. And the reason why this is acceptable is because you look at the general goal of what the law was looking to achieve. And what that was in an effort to make sure that a client or a customer walking into any business understands what the total amount that they will be charged is going to be, especially for monthly service fees. They want to make sure that if someone agreed to $100 a month, that $100 didn't turn into 104, and perhaps they did not budget for this. It's more about that transparency. And so if it's automatically 104, and you know that and you agree to the 104, you are permitted to then take a cash discount. So again, something that can be kept in mind and something that can be very easily coded into a system and monitored as well. Also, it's very important that we are talking specifically about New York. There are exceptions that in other states it is permitted to charge the credit card fee. So if your system is one in which you can put in multiple states, that's something to think about. Um, and that's something that could really offset a lot of fees for you. It's important to note that there's a difference between where you're located and where services are being provided and where the business is. This is something very, very important in what is actually allowed. So are you allowed to charge the surcharge if your client is located, let's say in Texas, but your main principal address and you're conducting business and providing a service from New York? Are you then, for example, allowed to charge that additional credit card fee on top of it or not? Even though you're providing the service from here, from New York, and New York would not allow you to. Again, something that's important state by state to look into, but something that could really help offset fees. And since this is supposed to be more of a general discussion, just an introduction and just to really something to think about. The easiest that we have seen, the easiest way to offset this for our clients has been to assume that the credit card fee and charge is already included in the price, and then have your system automatically remove it for any cash discount, which of course, cash typically means a wire, incoming wire or incoming ACH payment, a check or otherwise, not just cash as well. So as we said, there are a lot of exceptions here, and there are quite a few options that exist. Something to absolutely think about as you're going into the planning for the business and outlining. So if there are any questions on this at all and how to plan, especially going into 2024, please always feel free to reach out to Jane or I. We're happy to help you with all the exceptions and also to help start all of this up.
Thank you.